Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Shannon, I am the Wisdom Wedge, and in today's video I'm doing something I'm very excited about, and I'm making my first fire cider. Fire cider is a very traditional herbal recipe, and it's one that you'll see a lot online, and it's something that feels almost like rite of passage-y that I haven't actually done before. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that today, the ingredients I used, and then I'm going to have a go at making it. This video is designed to be part one of a two-part mini-series, the next part of which will be out next week on cold and flu medicines. So keep an eye out for next week's video as well. So let's get started. Okay, so as we start, brief insight to my filming process, I guess, is that I tend to plan out my videos in advance and then film, and then everything's fine. And then I got sick last week and I couldn't post a video. I got this really heavy cold just out of nowhere. It's the middle of summer. I wasn't expecting it, and it really threw me off and made me realise that I've got no herbal cold and flu remedies ready to go. I'm so used to making medicine on the fly that I just got caught out. So that has made me realise that I need to start making my autumn and winter cold and flu medicines now, and I have got to stock my home apothecary. So that is what I'm starting to do, and I'm starting with the fire cider this week. For anyone who's never heard of a fire cider before, it's not a cider and it's not alcoholic, so everyone can make this. It's because it's a tincture, which the menstruum used, we talked about that before, that's the liquid that you use to steep the herbs in, is apple cider vinegar. The name fire cider was first coined by Rosemary Gladstar, I think, back in the 70s. She is a well-renowned herbalist in the herbal sphere, so definitely check out Rosemary Gladstar. I will put her fire cider video that she made a few years back in the description as well, so you can go check that out. I did a lot of research. I read a lot about fire ciders. I looked at a lot of different creators' fire ciders before coming up with my own recipe, and it was so much fun, and it felt very intuitive, and it was very kind of on the fly, which I really liked. Another thing that I found really interesting is that the term fire cider was recently, within the last few years, the subject of was a part of a copyright lawsuit where three, I think it was herbalists from different herbal schools, kind of went to the courts to stop fire cider being able to be coined as a copyrightable term. It's a very general term for a lot of herbal medicines, and this way it stops people being able to just coin everything fire cider and copyright it and sell it, because it is a generalized medicine used cross-culturally for a lot of people. So that was a really cool little tidbit with fire cider. Rosemary Gladstar's fire cider recipe that she uses, she said herself that it's from knowledge that was kind of handed down. So we don't really know how old this recipe is. There are variations of this kind of thing with individual herbs to different areas, just kind of everywhere. So I think Rosemary Gladstar was the first person to actually call it fire cider. It was just very interesting to me. But what it is a tincture with a bunch of anti-inflammatory herbs and immune boosting herbs, and a lot of things that are really for just strengthening your immune system, steeped in an apple cider vinegar, which in and of itself is very good for that. And the slight appley taste in apple cider vinegar, I say that because it's not really appley. I don't find. The vinegar's very overpowering to me. It works really well with the ingredients that we're using today. So let's go on to the ingredients I used for this fire cider today. So what I chose to do is I wanted to make a fruity fire cider. I wanted to add in a load of fruits that had a lot of vitamin C, loads of vitamins and minerals, just as that extra boost. One of the traditional ingredients that I see in a lot of fire cider recipes is horseradish. And for love nor money, I cannot find horseradish. I have looked everywhere. I went into so many different local shops. I tried to order it online and it was just stupidly expensive. I don't know if that's because I do watch a lot of American herbalists make fire cider and they seem to just have horseradish. And in England, I can't find it. just can't. A lot of people just kind of looked at me like, huh? When I asked, have you got this? So that was hard. So I decided to use things that I had at home and I just needed to get a few more things of. I wanted to make all of my medicines as accessible as possible. So I just used stuff that I have at home already. I didn't go out and get anything special for it. I used the average kind of stuff that you can find everywhere. So my first ingredient was onions. Onions have been used in a lot of things for coughs and colds. There's a lot of medicines for coughs and colds. If you watched my last video about how to get started in herbalism, I give you a recipe for a herbal cough medicine. It's very common for onions to be used in cough medicine because they're very decongestant, very opening. There's also got a lot of immune boosting properties, and it's also an anti-inflammatory, so to help with all of that kind of sinusy pain and pressure around here. In the same vein, I added garlic and ginger. Garlic and ginger both have so many medicinal qualities. They have been used throughout history, they've been used throughout continents, they have been used so often for so much that to kind of tell you what properties they have for fire cider would be a little bit of a disservice to these plants. They can do so much, but in general we're going for the warming effect of both of them, and we're going for the anti-inflammatories, the antioxidants, all of those really, really good things. And because these are all very strong, very pungent vegetables that we've used so far, they are going to be that opening, that decongestant. The idea is that when you take this, it is going to hit you in the sinuses and it is going to clear you up here. The next part we're going to use is where the fire comes in. I am using chilies, probably too many chilies. I just kept chopping up chilies. I kept going. I really like chili, and I was just kind of going with it. So I may have put too much in. We're going to find out in 6 weeks' time. But I've got chilies in there, and that's going to give you the heat. That's going to give you the warmth. The whole part of the fire cider is when you take it, it works as basically an immune tonic. So it just helps your immune system, builds you back up, and it's meant to work brilliantly as a cold and flu medicine as well, especially during that kind of transitory time, kind of between autumn and winter, when it's really cooling down quite rapidly. We're getting the storms, we're getting the wind. A lot of people are coming inside, so you're more likely to catch stuff. But I wanted to balance out all of this heat and this spice and these strong pungent odours and flavours that we're going to be getting with kind of a fruity twist. So hopefully it should be slightly more pleasant to take. For that, I used oranges, lemons, the citruses they've got a lot of vitamins, a lot of minerals, really, really good for you, and also quite strong flavours in and of themselves, which I'm hoping will actually pull out more of the appley flavour from the apple cider vinegar. I also used blackberries because they're starting to come into season at the moment, and I managed to get some off the market fairly cheap, so we've got blackberries, and I do like the taste of them. I crushed them a little bit before putting them in as well, so hopefully that the flavour really infuses. And finally, the only dried ingredient I used, I was surprised myself. I thought I was going to use more dried ingredients, but the only dried ingredient I used was dried hawthorn berries. And that's purely because I really felt drawn to using them. Fire cider is one of those great things where you can really practice your intuitive herbalism, like what pops out of you. And I was making this and something in me just said put hawthorn berries in it, so I have done. What I've read about hawthorn berries so far is they've got a lot of those anti-inflammatory properties. There's a lot of things that they do, but research is being done into how they can help anxiety. And I hadn't thought about that at first, but I don't get anxiety when I get cold and flu, but there are people in my household that definitely do. So hopefully if they're taking this as well for cold and flu, that's going to help just soothe them and ease them and relax them a little bit. So we've got hawthorn berries in there as well. So in the next section of the video, I'm going to go over how I made it. It's fairly simple once you've prepped all of your vegetables and fruits and spices and whatever you're using. It's basically put it all together. Add a load of apple cider vinegar, but you'll see in just a second. So watch the next bit and I'll be back in just a moment. As always, we're starting with a clean, dried, sterilised jar. The first thing I'm adding is our chopped onions that I chopped much earlier off screen because I don't want to cry on camera. I'm now adding my chopped up garlic. And I grated and chopped up the ginger, just like everything else. I used a lot of ginger, I used almost an entire root, but I really like the spice of ginger, so you can adapt this as you want. Add that to the jar as well. We chopped up and prepared the chilies. I think I used 4 whole ones at this point. Keep the seeds and everything in. Added that to the pot as well. I started adding in my blackberries on top of that. I was crushing them up a little bit in my hands as I went, before closing the lid and giving it a really good shake to make sure that it was all nice and mixed. I do this a few times throughout the process to make sure that I'm getting even mixing throughout. I then decided to work on adding in the fruit. I started by chopping up 1 large orange into chunks, keeping the rind and everything in, making sure that they are washed, and pushing them down into the jar. I added a lemon as well. I squeezed the juice out of it first and then added the rest of the lemon. We want the whole plant, we want all of those nutrients in there. This just helps it absorb a little bit better. I also decided to add in a pomegranate fairly last minute. I love pomegranate seeds and I thought it would just add a really nice bit of flavour, so I added that in as well. Once again, close the jar and give it a really good shake. I added in all the hawthorn berries as well, which is about 1/4 cup's worth. At this point, I'm already covered in juice from all of these different plants. I then realised I had room for another orange, so I added another orange. If you love orange, add more orange. More vitamins, more minerals, more good stuff. I then made sure to fill it with apple cider vinegar. I just filled it all the way to the top and then let it sit. I put it in a cool, dark place, somewhere where the temperature stays fairly consistent, and that was it. I used about 750 ml in this large jar with everything included. I put a piece of parchment paper on the top just to protect the lid of the jar. And that was it. Ready to go. And so, here she is so far. She is going. I've got it in a cool, dark place, and I shake it up every couple days and just check that the water hasn't receded. It has receded a tiny bit today, so I'm going to probably top that up with just a little bit more apple cider vinegar. But it's taken on this really, really beautiful, dark, pinkish red colour. That is absolutely gorgeous. And should we smell it? Should we see how it's doing? Wow. You're really getting kind of like that fiery smell. Oh, I already could get that. I already got the heat of that, but there's like a fruitiness that hits you straight afterwards. So I'm going to top that up. You can see all of our pomegranate seeds in here and our chilies. It's just a beautiful thing. It was really easy to make. And I'm really happy that I tried it. And I'm honestly surprised I hadn't tried it sooner. It was quite easy to do. I'm going to leave it like this for maybe about a month, and then I'm going to drain it off. Yeah, then press it, put it in an amber coloured bottle. We'll try it then. I will get that on camera, don't you worry. I'm both excited and terrified to try it. So we'll see. I really loved making this medicine. It was good fun. And I feel like I'm really starting to stock up my apothecary ready for winter. So next week's video will be the part 2 to this, where I'm going to be making a few more practical things so that I don't need to make stuff when I'm really, really ill. And I've got a lot of stuff ready to go. So you'll see that next week. Make sure that you are subscribed to see that, so you've got the little notification bell. But thank you so much for being here. Please comment and let me know if you've made fire cider before. And if you are going to try it, let me know what you would add. What would be your personal twist on a fire cider? Because you can do so much with this. It would be really, really great to know. If you're a seasoned herbalist, how do you make yours? Have you got a tip or a trick you can like share with us? Us humble students of the herbal arts trying to learn. Please like this video, share it around. Sharing really does help me, and those of you that have been sharing my videos, I see you. Thank you so much. You've been doing so much and it's really been helping this channel. Thank you so much for being here. I'm honoured every week that you choose to be here with me. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next week. Bye guys. Okay, so you can't see me, but you'll be able to see what I'm doing. Scooch, scooch, scooch. Scooch, scooch, scooch. Oh, it's really, really hot today. Oh no, oh no, oh no, no.